Hello YouTube family, welcome to the Real Talk with EARICA Cole. Last week we talked about the 5 factors that make up the credit score. Hopefully you took some great nuggets. If you have not seen that video, I need you to go back. Stop this video right now, go back and watch that video. Because today what we're going to talk about is some quick tips to help you improve your credit score. So grab a pen and paper and let's do this. People like to come to me and say, E, my credit score is low. What should I do? Can you take a look at it? And I'm like, sure, I'll take a look at it. And immediately I see some things that can be resolved. First things first, we talked about on the last Real Talk with EARICA that you need to make sure that you make your payments on time. So if we see any delinquencies out there, I'm going to contact you and I'm going to say, listen, we got to fix these delinquencies. You got to start making your payments on time. A lot of time people get into that hustle and bustle and they're thinking, you know what, I've already messed up. It's not a big deal. I skipped this payment. I'll make the payment later. That is hurting your credit score tremendously. Get caught up. Have a consistent payment history for a minimum of 24 months is what people are looking for when they're talking about lending you money. So if you can get that straight with any of those outstanding creditors that you have out there, get that done first. The second thing I would encourage you to do is if you are making your payments on time, maybe there's some credit cards out there that you've had for a long time, but they've never increased your limit. Your limit is still $500 or your limit is still $1,000. I would contact those creditors and say, you know what, I've been a loyal customer for the last X amount of years. I want to see if you can increase my limit. They're going to tell you, let me take a look. They're going to do an inquiry, see if you've been making your payments on time, see if you've been actually using the card. 9 times out of 10, they will increase those credit scores for you. If you get something in the mail, remember we talked about don't have your credit pulled often, but maybe you get something in the mail that says, hey, we want to offer you this at a lower rate. Check out that. Call them and see what it is. See if there's any hidden fees that are applicable to that credit card. It may be to your advantage that you go ahead and get that new credit line on your credit report. Again, it's new credit, so it's not going to be very essential to your length of credit, which is that 15%, but that capacity is going to help you increase, which remember, that's 30% of your score. So there's higher leverage there. Another thing you might want to consider doing is looking at those current credit cards that you have and say, wait a minute, am I under that 30% or that 20% of usage on the credit card? That's an easy fix. If you have the money in savings account, or maybe you have one card that it has no balance, but you have another credit card that it's almost max. Maybe you want to do a balance transfer to kind of take that utilization down, to, of course, help improve your credit score. Third thing I would suggest you to do is if you have anything that's out there that is derogatory. For example, you have something that's in collections or you have something that's in a delinquent status and it is one of those things that you're like, this has been years in the making. Remember, that's going to maintain on your credit file for 7 years. So if you have something that's out there for 2 years and you're thinking about purchasing a home next year or within the next couple years, you got to fix that. What do? You contact that creditor and you come into some type of agreement. You say, hey, maybe I owe you $1,500 and that may be with fees, that may be with late fees and interest, and say, you know what? I've got $500 to settle this debt. See if they will come into some type of agreement with you. A lot of times creditors will say, well, no, we need the full payment. They try to be tough, right? Listen, they'd rather get something than to get nothing. You stand your ground and you say, this is all I have, and say, I'm considering bankruptcy. What I can do is I can tie you up in the bankruptcy. They'll figure out a way to help you, meet you in the middle. Whenever they agree to that term, get it in writing. Do not just take their word over the phone. Make sure you have something in writing that they say, hey, we're going to accept the payment that we agreed upon. Once we do that, we're going to remove it from your credit file. Listen to me, to all of my family members, friends, and YouTubers out there. When you make those agreements, make sure that they remove it from your file. That way, when you go to get that home in the next year or 2 years from now, that doesn't show on your credit file. So don't be afraid to reach out to those lenders, okay? You want to get those debts solved. Ignoring it is not going to help anything. You got to reach out to those creditors and come to some type of agreement. All right, so those are 3 things. Let's talk about something else. The 4th thing that I want to talk about is maybe you don't have any credit cards. Maybe you have 1 credit card and you need to have more capacity of debt. Maybe you have a family member, a friend, or a spouse or a partner, and they currently have great credit and they've had credit cards for a while. See if they're willing to put you on as an authorized user, okay? Listen, don't go out there jacking up people's credits. Putting you on as an authorized user helps improve your score, okay? It doesn't make you responsible for the debt, but it does help your capacity of debt. So when the creditors pull it up, they see that you have access and the ability to utilize $5,000, $10,000, whatever that is in limit, and you're not, or you and that owner of that card have made a wise decision to keep it under that 30% or keep it under that 20%. So that's favorable. And so your credit bureaus look at that favorable as well. The 5th thing that I would encourage you to do that's really simple is pull your credit, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes I would get people sitting in front of me and they would say, I don't know what that is. I didn't do that. I have no idea. Guess what? You have the responsibility as the consumer to contact that financial institution and say, I don't remember getting this loan. I don't remember signing off on this. When you do that, it is the financial institution's responsibility to contact you with proof that that's your loan. If they can't provide proof within a timely manner, guess what? It's gone. So make sure you do that. Contact every creditor on your file. I tell people all the time, listen, if you see something on there and you're like, I don't remember, I don't know, this was a long time ago, contact them. Make them prove it to you that it's yours. If it's deemed that it is yours, and again, you have that conversation and say, well, I can't do this, I can do that. You want to work through that. It's time for us to mature in 2022. This is the year of the big. We're going to be more educated about our finances and our credit scores. We're going to dig deep and see some of the things that we can do to ensure that moving down the road, whether it's that car, whether it's that home, whether it's that financial stability, whether it's being debt free, we're going to line ourselves up over the next several months to ensure that that happens. Ignoring it does not make it go away. There are 3 major credit bureaus that you want to pay attention to. And I always encourage people, again, pull your credit. You can pull your credit a couple times a year. You want to check with Equifax, which is 1 bureau, Experian, and TransUnion. There's a lot of credit reporting agencies out there that people utilize, which is fine, but they're not always going to be in line with those 3 bureaus. Those are the 3 main bureaus that you want to pay attention to, okay? Again, you can use those other things for credit monitoring purposes and just kind of check on your credit every now and then, but if you really want to see what am I working with, you want to make sure that you contact those 3 bureaus. Because of technology, we can easily access those things online. If you've ever had a situation where I know that sometimes you have twins or people that live in the same household and they have the same name, or you have your juniors and you pull something up. I've had so many times where a son would be sitting in front of me and he said, that's my dad, or the dad will be sitting in front of me and say, that's my son, because there's name mix up. Remember, human beings are taking our data. So if you have those type of situations, don't just let it be. If you know you didn't do that and that was owned by somebody else, you contact that creditor and you reach out to them and you let them know, hey, this was my father, or this was my son. I need you to remove this from my credit report. It is the financial institution's responsibility to provide proof of who actually applied for that loan, who's responsible for that loan. So get that cleared up. Moving forward, I would suggest that you put different credit monitoring devices on your credit file to know that if someone's trying to pull the credit, if someone's trying to check on something, you're notified. You can get a PIN, you can get a password to make sure that no credit is pulled in your name without you signing off. What's another thing that you can do to have a quick improvement on your credit file? You can get what's called a secure credit card. Many institutions offer the ability for you to go in and say, look, I've got $500 or I got $1,000 and I want to do a secured credit card. They will then take your money, pledge it against an account, charge you maybe 1%, 2%, 3% interest for you to make payments. What is that doing? That's showing that you have a payment history for that trade line. You now have a limit of credit. So you're basically going through the rebuilding process. Many credit unions, many financial institutions offer this program. Go in and ask. They'll educate you. I tell people all the time, they'll say, well, which one should I choose? Choose the one with the lowest interest rate, okay? Choose the one that has no fees. Again, Both of them do the same thing. They're both the trade line on your credit file. So you want to make sure that you get the best deal. It's your money that they're holding in an account for you, and you're basically borrowing against your money. They will give you that $500 back because, again, there's really no loss in that, correct? Last but not least, listen to all of my young people out there that have student loan debts. Been there, okay? Keep in mind that as long as you have your loans deferred, you're not responsible for those payments. So if you're currently in school, you want to make sure that you have those loans deferred. Many of us say, okay, I graduated from school. I am now ready to get that high-paying job. And sometimes that doesn't happen. It takes a while. In the event that that happens, you want to contact whoever you have your financial student loans with, and you want to make sure that you put it in forbearance. There's a lot of government programs out there now, too, that are forgiving student loan debt. Inquire about those. Research that information. Listen, I see things floating around all the time, and I'm amazed at what people can do. Your line of business may be a part of that debt consolidation or forgiveness program. So look into that. Contact your local institutions or contact the institution that you have your loans with to see what they can do. This is the year of the big, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to clean up our credit. We're going to continue to talk about this more in depth. If you have any comments, make sure you put the comments in the feed. I'll definitely answer those comments. I know some of you are thinking, oh my God, how can I do this? Don't be afraid. There's so many free resources out there. There's Facebook groups. There's things that you can Google online. These are just some basic tips that I'm sharing with you, but you can do this. I'm not in the business of actually managing people's credits, but if you have a quick question, yes, you can email me at bookearicacole@gmail.com. Again, bookearicacole@gmail.com. Give me about 48 hours to respond to your request. But again, I'm not in the business of fixing people's credits. But if you have a specific question and I feel that I can answer that question, I will definitely help you with that. You guys have a blessed and wonderful day. This is the year of the big. Greater is on the way. Love you guys.